So this video is actually a response again to my viewers with questions. So I recently did a video on the anti-aging tips for 60s and 70s, and that was again response to my viewers. So in that video we talked about what is different, what happens to the skin that is different during that life stage versus all the other life stages, and what ingredients to focus on more and what skincare products to focus on more. So this one is actually based on research, and it is the one pro tip or the one thing that you need to do that actually increases your skin's moisture barrier. Hi, my name is Christy, and I've been treating clients with acne, hyperpigmentation, and other skin conditions, including anti-aging, for over 11 years. So dry and dehydrated skin can be exacerbated by dry climate and age, but also it can be, I'm seeing more and more of this as my clients who are younger are coming in and they are experiencing dry and dehydrated skin. And some of them are coming in with an array, a drugstore worth of products that they're mixing and matching, and so they are getting dry and dehydrated. So we're going to be talking about how to do this one thing that actually helps your skin increase its ability to hold in that moisture. So let's get into it. Now, most of my clients claim that they are drinking lots and lots of water, but when I put them under a machine to look at their skin, it is still showing that they have high dehydration. Now, we live in an area where the climate is very, very dry. So it doesn't matter if you're drinking lots of water, you're going to excrete it first before most of that water gets to the skin. So what is this one pro tip? Because it's not drinking lots of water. Let's see. Spraying fine water particles onto your skin. So this study was conducted at the Aichi Medical University in Japan. So if you've watched the video on the anti-aging tips for 60s and 70s, you know that where hormones are the reason for a lot of the problems in younger skin, it's actually the opposite in older skin. It's the lack of hormones. And so as we produce less sebum, then the skin's ability to hold in the moisture and retain that moisture actually decreases because we're actually producing less sebum. So during the winter time, the lack of moisture in the skin and in the air can wreak havoc on our skin. The researchers measured on each of the participants elasticity, the moisture levels, and the transepidermal water loss. And they measured this specifically in the cheek area after spraying the fine water particles on the cheek. And they did it at a temperature of 24 degrees Celsius, or for us Americans, 75.2 degrees, and 34.5% humidity. Now, I'm not going to go into the nitty-gritty of this experiment because there's a lot of factors and how they measured it and the temperature and the machine that they used to conduct the moisture levels on the skin. If you want to know more about that and you're kind of a science geek, then I will put that link to my blog, and on the blog post at the very bottom I will include that link to all the nitty-gritties of this experiment. So in summary, this experiment is not just about spraying a bunch of water on your face. Yes, they have shown that spraying a very fine mist of water particles on your face actually increases your skin's ability to not only have the moisture, but able to retain that moisture, with one caveat, which I'm going to get into in just a bit. It not only has to be just a fine mist, the diameter of the particles actually has to be smaller in diameter than the intercellular spaces, and it has to be non-charged, meaning that they found that it's actually more effective when you spray it versus the mist coming from a steamer or a humidifier. Why this is important is because for those of you who are older, if you have the reduction of sebum, whether it's based on your age, because as we age, we produce less sebum, therefore the ability to hold in that moisture decreases. But if you are younger and you're using a lot of anti-aging ingredients that are causing a lot more exfoliation, then obviously you don't have as much sebum as well, which is TEWL, transepidermal water loss. And so you lose the ability to hold in that moisture longer. So it has to be a fine mist, and it has to be completely non-charged. And why this may be important is TEWL may be increased due to the lack of sebum membrane formation. So how this relates to you is in this study, they actually found that TEWL was measured the lowest when the conditions were the fine water molecules were on the skin. And what happens is when water is on the skin and you have sebum on your skin, it emulsifies and creates a barrier. So what they found was there is an increase in barrier function when the water particles are mixed with the sebum. Now in this study, they also did some research using both a humidifier that had a fine mist as well as a steamer, and they found that because of the charged particles, that was actually not as effective as just a fine mist spray. They also found with the long-term continuous spray mist, it also formed condensation and long-term effects of possible mold growth. So they actually found that the spray was actually better for the skin. Now you may notice that the lighting is a little bit different, and that is because we had to do a couple treatments in between filming this video. It's a really busy season, so it's actually later now. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to take you into the treatment room so you can actually see what I mean as examples of what to do if you have oily skin or if you have dry, mature skin. So obviously if you have oily skin, you still need more moisture. The difference is you have a little more to work with. You obviously have a little bit more sebum, so when you put on moisture, it actually binds better and you have a better working barrier function. So if you live in a very high humidity climate, you don't have to worry so much about putting an occlusive agent in there because there's so much moisture in the air. The humectants draw the moisture onto the skin. But if you have drier skin or you live in a very dry climate, then it is important to keep that the water from evaporating. So this is Rosie here, and Rosie is here for a myolift treatment, which I will do another video on that. But I wanted to actually give you an example of what to do if you have oily, breakout prone skin and also dry, mature skin. So this is my client Rosie. She is 57. She has been coming to me now for how long?
Oh gosh, over 10 years, right?
Over 10 years. So, but this is her first time, you know, starting this myolift treatment. So, but the purpose of this video is not to show you the myolift treatment. It's actually to show you what to do. So I'm going to start off first with the oily, breakout prone skin. So what you want to do first is after you've washed your face, you've exfoliated your face, and then your face is dry, what you want to do is you want to put the toner and to be completely saturated. Okay, so see all the fine water droplets. So see how she's moist? And then you would take your hydrating gel. Now you don't have to use a treatment brush. I'm just doing this because she's my client. But you would apply that evenly all throughout your face and your neck, even if it's your chest, like this. And you want to rub that in. Now if you are using the hydrating treatment gel that we sell here, then it's thick enough that this is it, you're done, unless you wanted to use like a oil-free lotion on top of that. But for those of you who are extremely oily or extremely breakout prone, that's what you want to do. Now Rosie here, obviously she doesn't have any breakouts, but if you did have breakouts, after you massage the gel into your skin, then you would take your spot treatment, whether it's benzoyl peroxide or glycolic acid based or salicylic acid based, and then you would actually treat that on the specific areas of your skin. So that's how you would do it with oily breakout prone, is you would actually put the toner on first, then your gel. Okay, so pro tip number 2 is if you are working with drier skin or more mature skin, then obviously there is less sebum production. So instead of applying the toner first or the water mist first, you would actually apply the gel first. So you would apply the hydrating gel, and let's say you put it all over your face, right? So you would just go ahead and just apply it all over. And of course, if you have drier skin, then obviously you want to put more on, because with this hydrating gel, it has 5 different humectants, and so that is actually going to, and when I put the toner on, because the toner also has a lot of high humectants, it is going to be a love affair. They love each other. They are drawn to each other. So notice how I put the gel, and then while her skin is still moist, then you would apply the toner like this until she's very saturated. Okay, so see how she's really saturated. I could see all the fine mist on her vellus facial hair here. And then this is where she would go ahead and put on her overnight cream. Now the gel that I'm talking about, for those of you who don't know, is because it does have 5 different humectants. So of course hyaluronic acid, it has aloe vera juice, it has sodium PCA, lactic acid. Those are all humectants, but it also has 4 anti-inflammatory and soothing ingredients. So it's really good if you have rosacea, if you are using retin-A that causes low-level inflammation, or if you have acne. And then it has 3 ingredients to normalize the skin. So instead of using heavy oils or waxes to keep the moisture in, that can cause bumpy or breakouts on breakout prone skin, it actually uses a water dispersible oil, which is grapeseed oil. So after you put on the toner, again, obviously you're going to put on a cream. And those of you who have a drier, more mature skin, you're going to look for one that has lipids and essential fatty acids, as well as ceramides. Because a lot of times that's why we have a impaired barrier function, because we don't produce enough of these on our skin. And basically, those ceramides that can help improve the barrier function of the skin. And both skin types can use this also as an overnight treatment mask. So this spray toner is also suitable for skin types, especially if you are using anti-aging products. Now, what's unique about this is the ingredients to increase hydration. It has glycerin, sodium PCA, lactic acid, and aloe vera juice. And it has a combination that optimizes barrier function, which is a combination of water, hydrolyzed cornstarch, and beetroot extract, as well as D-panthenol, which raises the hydration levels in the skin. So hopefully these tips helped you, and actually showing you how I do it in the treatment room can give you a better visual cue or memorization on how to actually do it on your own skin. So if you're finding these information helpful and you haven't subscribed to our channel, then please make sure you give us a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and of course, please don't forget to hit that notification bell to get notified when our new videos come up. And if you know someone that could possibly find this information helpful, then please share this video, because remember, makeup is an art and skincare is a science. See you next week.